Hello everyone, for this wonderful session on coaching supervision. Um, we have our speakers here with us, Joe and Mike, as Judith joined in as well. Hey,
She'll be joining shortly.
shortly. Okay. So before I hand it over, I would just go through a quick round of introduction as well of Joe and Mike to start with. Um, so let me just quickly have a round of introduction. So Joe is a master coach and coach supervisor accredited by EMCC and Comensa with over 20 years of coaching, supervision, and training experience. She comes with a humanistic and integrative approach and is deeply committed to high quality coaching supervision, as they call it, coaching supervision. In 2024, Joe partnered with Judith and Mike to create their EMCC and ICF accredited diploma in coaching supervision. She now also serves as the global lead for accreditation and at EMCC and offers her work through the Stanton Coaching Center. I hope I got that right.
Yeah,
Thank you. Hi, Joe.
great.
Um,
Shilpa, thank you. Hi.
So Joe is joining in us from South Africa, and we have Mike here with us as well. So Mike is joining us from UK and is has coached over 25 years. Wow, developing 1,000 leaders across 30 countries, including India. Wow. He holds an MSc in People Development and is an accredited master coach and coach supervisor with EMCC and Apex. A coach supervisor since 2015, Mike is passionate about supporting coaches to grow and strengthen their profession globally. He co leads the diploma in coaching supervision with Joe and Judith and serves as an accreditor or Apex. Mike and Judith offer their work through Coaching Bridge, and ICF accredited training provider. Hi, Mike. I have shortened your introductions a bit, Joe and Mike. I hope I've not missed anything really important over there. Let
That's
me
perfect.
introduce
Thanks, Shilpa.
Judith as well. She'll be joining in this soon.
Yes, we're
She's
passing the baton a bit because I have to leave early and she's
right.
joining a bit late, so
Sure,
apologies
sure.
for that.
I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
break in between with the introduction, so let me just introduce her
Sure.
as well. So Judith is joining us from UK and has been a professional coach for over 25 years. She holds an MSc in Change Agent Skills and is an accredited master coach and coach supervisor with EMCC and Apex. Her coaching spans private and public sectors, including professional services, universities, and senior leaders across the NHS. A pioneer of coaching supervision in the UK, Judith is committed to helping coaches perform at their best. He co developed the diploma in coaching supervision with Joe and Mike and is the lead accreditor in Apex. Lovely. I'm sure a lot of people out here are eagerly waiting for this topic. It is quite something that people I know have a lot of interest and want to know a lot more. So I will now want Jayashree to come onto the spotlight as well. She's the president of the ICF Pune chapter. So Jayashree, over to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Shilpa. And hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are joining. Thank you for joining us. So this is the last session of the year from ICF Pune. And I know from next week onwards, everybody will start wrapping up the work and preparing for the holidays. So thanks, Mike and Joe, for making time for us. So coaching supervision, I have been a coach for 12 years with ICF as in a professional coach. And ICF chapter, Pune chapter has existed for almost 8 years. And Yet, this is the first ever session that we are having about coaching supervision. So, I'm going to ask you maybe the most basic, most fundamental question, but I'm assuming it is on the minds of many coaches. And that question is, okay, we've heard about coaching, of course, and we've heard about mentor coaching. So, most of us have had mentors either as a requirement or as a choice. And now we are also hearing about coach supervisors. So, could you help us understand the difference, especially between the mentor and the supervisor?
Yeah, thank you. Well, hello
Okay.
everybody. I'm going to let Joe. We have one slide only for the whole of the session, so I think Joe is going to talk us through what that difference is and going to show it on the screen now. I think this will be very helpful to everyone.
Great. Can everybody see? It's not here yet. Is it? Okay, went backwards. So I'll start by describing what we see as the functions and benefits of supervision using this simple triangle model. So if you imagine, or you can see an equilateral triangle, and each of the corners, there's a function or a benefit of supervision. So supervision is a reflective practice, guided by and supported by a qualified coach supervisor. And there is a distinction between coaching and supervision, as you'll see as I describe it. We say that the three elements or the functions and benefits of supervision are, the first one is supportive. So it serves a resourcing function for the coach as person. We are people, we all have our lives, we have histories, we have our beliefs, our value system, and we bring that to our relationship with our clients. So at times, we could be triggered by clients, we could be feeling stuck with our clients, but often that's something that is a learning or support that's needed for the person as coach. So we look at in this corner is how do we create a safe learning environment for coaches so they can be vulnerable and they can be open and honest about what's coming up for them as they work for their clients. It could be, overwhelm, it could be tired, it could be things that the clients are bringing that are affecting how they feel. And so we look at what is the support needed for this coach as person at this time. And that can also be related to their developmental stage as a coach. So new coaches, more experienced coaches, at some point we often need support for ourselves. The next corner of the triangle is we call coach's coach, which is the formative element or developmental element of coaching, this is where the growth or the change is needed. This is where we talk about interventions, tools, techniques, models. It's the application of coaching theory to practice. And so this might be where a coach has something further to learn, to develop their practice, develop themselves as a coach. And it may be connected with what support is coming up as need for person, because it might be something they need to learn about themselves, increase their self-awareness. But this is often where I think you would see that mentoring might come in. But how supervision, even the mentoring element of supervision is different from a mentor coach. A mentor coach is there to support you to hone your competencies, your coaching skills. So generally a mentor coach will watch a session, listen to a session, take you through how you apply your coaching skills and competencies in practice. A supervisor is not going to go into that level of detail around your skills and competencies, but they are going to support you in your growth and development as a coach. And that may be, recommending a mentor coach to further develop your skills. Like as in the support, it may be recommending that you see a coach or even a psychotherapist to get the additional support that you need. And then the normative element is the coach as professional. So that's the kind of the accounting, what we call accounting function or normative function. That's where we represent the profession. We sign up to a code of ethics based on our professional body. It's where we come across our contracting, our boundaries with our clients. ethical dilemmas and how we meet competency standards. And the supervisor isn't there to, act as a kind of an external police person, but really is to support you in navigating any ethical dilemmas, contracting issues, boundaries, and how you relate to your code of ethics and what you need in order to learn and to be the best coach you can be. And in this way, we say that supervision supports you in also protecting your clients as well as helping the clients get the best out of coaching. So this is very much for the coach in their practice as a reflective practice guided by a qualified supervisor. So I hope that gives you a sense of how supervision is different from mentor coaching at a high level.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome to Judith as well. Yeah, thank you, Joe. I think that was a super way of describing that difference, Jayshree. Yeah, I mean, the other part for me would be this, why do we describe it as super-vision, 2 words? And I think, Judith will add to this that we feel that it's very coach-centered, as Joe was saying, that the triangle is about the coach. But the supervision part is about the coach and what they offer then to their client, their coachee. So we think that the supervision part is for the coach to have greater self-awareness about themselves as a coach, to understand their skills and their strengths, to appreciate what they do, to value what they do, and to look at themselves positively in their offering as coaches. So I think we describe it as a 360 tour of themselves by having a supervision session with a trained and accredited supervisor. Judith, would you add any more to that supervision part?
No, that was lovely, Mike. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. Sorry I was a little late. It literally is supervision allows you just to take like Mike said, a 360-degree view of yourself as a coach. Joe mentioned the parallel process. So, it allows you to step into yourself and see the wider picture. Michael sometimes calls it like being in the BT tower. You're just going around at the top and seeing everything as it comes round rather than just having a fixed focus on one thing. So that's where supervision really does come into its own.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And, I really love the supportive vertex of that equilateral triangle because I think so coaches generally are solo players and solo flyers. And then there are often points in their coaching practice where they want to talk to somebody because there are very specific personal triggers, as Joe, you mentioned, or sometimes ethical dilemmas, and then they really do not have anybody else, maybe in their family or friends or even colleagues. I mean, for the fear of being seen as vulnerable, maybe in the professional community. And maybe because our family and friends may not really understand what we do and therefore what might be our dilemmas. And then we don't know who to go to. So yeah, so that really sounds like a space which is so very needed. And I was tempted to use the word safe space, but I've also heard you guys say brave space instead of safe space many a time. So if you could, tell us more about that.
We always think of, well, I do think it is a safe space, but in one of our recent trainings, somebody mentioned, brought up the thing about having a brave space because our intention is always to create a safe space for learning, because I've found through supervision and training that adults are often quite fearful when they're in a learning space because of the history of, academic institutions and learning, and you can get things right or wrong. And I always say that as a coach, you can't get being yourself wrong. So this is all about your being, and we want to support that. But the fact that we think we're creating a safe space, we really need to invite people to be courageous in order to be open to their learning. So, it is very much, supervision is very much relational. So it does rest a large part on us contracting around creating a safe and or brave learning environment for coaches.
Yeah, and I think the brave for me is about no matter what your background is, what your culture is, what your diversity is, your difference, having a space where you feel brave enough and courageous enough to be able to bring out yourself, and through a proper facilitation with the coach supervisor, I think that's a really powerful place to be. And for me, that's very different than mentoring too. Is that I mean, the other thing we've mentioned 2 or 3 times about accredited and trained supervisors. I mean, I remember in the past times, colleagues of mine who were coaches used to say, "Oh, I don't need supervision because I see a friend of mine who's a coach. We have a cup of coffee and we talk about our coaching issues and challenges." And oh, that will do. But of course it won't, because you're not with this professionally trained or accredited person who's been through all this learning, to create what Joe was talking about with the triangle, really.
Right. No, and I think many of our participants would be intrigued to even know who can become a coach supervisor, and is there a bar that one needs to cross? But I think before even going to that question, once again, one of the fundamental questions is, at what stage of development do coaches need supervisors?
I can answer that if you want. At all stages.
Say the same.
Yeah, sort of wherever any coach is on their learning journey, a supervisor is, I think, a necessity, a requirement. So even if we're looking at accredited bodies for coaches, they are now looking for all coaches to have supervision and to have supervisors. So it goes hand in hand, really. It's part of the learning, the journey that the coach goes through. And I can remember when I was a coach, when I first became a coach, is incredibly different to the coach I am now. So again, I have evolved as a coach, and part of me being able to evolve as a coach has been through supervision, because it's challenged me on my thinking around who I am as a coach. It's challenged me on my interventions that I have as a coach. So it may be that as you mature as as a coach, you will also require a different supervisor. I've not got the same supervisor I had when I first started. There's a couple of reasons. Is that I like the challenge of a new person coming and creating the safe and brave space for me to challenge myself. And also, I'm always, when I was looking to develop my coach practice, I was looking to develop myself as well. So I have had different pivot points along the way where I've changed supervisor. However, I've never been without a supervisor.
Yeah. My story, Jayshree, is around, in answer to your question, is around, I supervised a coach in India probably 5 or 6 years ago. And she was just qualified from the ICF. She just got her credentials from the ICF. And she had a lot of support on her journey through the ICF, had lots of mentoring support, lots of one-to-one attention. And then suddenly she was qualified and ready to go, and she felt a little bit lost. She was now in this big wide world of coaching with lots of other competitors who were also offering coaching, and she didn't know what her difference was. How do I stand out from the crowd? And working with me as a supervisor, we helped her together to uncover that supervision about herself, and she felt much more authentic, and was able to offer something far different to what she thought she could have done.
Yeah, and that really reminds me that, and going back to something Joe said, we're moving away from doing coaching to being in our coaching relationships. Because, you come out from ICF or whatever body, has given you that accreditation, and it's like every learning journey. Oh, here's a manual, here's a book of instructions on what I need to do. But you really start to evolve as a coach when you start to be you in the relationship, and that's when it flourishes.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say is it is one thing to get trained as a coach, but it is quite another to really find my own authentic voice as a coach. And working with a supervisor would accelerate my journey. I think over a period of time, maybe somehow, somewhere, I will figure out. But having a supervisor would accelerate that journey, and it would be more meaningful, is what I hear. So the question that now comes to my mind is typically, what is it that coaches bring to their conversations with their supervisor?
Joe, I'll let you go. We should let you go.
Me.
Sorry?
Did you say me?
Yeah, Joe, I think. Yeah, please.
Okay. It's there's a lot I could say. Certainly, I find coaches who are starting out bring questions around their ability to stick with what the model is that they learned or the framework. So they have quite a lot of self-doubt and some anxiety because, as you know, you learn a framework and then the client shows up and it doesn't necessarily apply. So they have to respond to that and find their own kind of coaching style and, what we've been saying, move from the doing to the being. Often there are issues around contracting, learning about different kind of contracts in different organizations or with different types of clients, and not always having the awareness of all the implications and the unintended consequences of some of the contracting. You can't know what you can't know, so that's very helpful to learn. That's why I find group supervision is helpful, because you also learn from other coaches, who've walked the journey before. Quite common is the boundary between coaching and maybe therapy or mentoring, when coaches are not sure of what those boundaries are and when they should be referring. I think a lot of it focuses on who they are as a coach and their belief system. So sometimes it is just their own self-doubt, think they should do some more training, and I think as supervisors, we often try and see our coaches as resourceful and whole, but when they get stuck, they start to get anxiety or doubt themselves. And so as supervisors, I feel my role is often to affirm the coach in their practice. The practical questions like, what do they charge? How do they charge? How do they deal with cancel? All those kind of things, like just running a practice, issues, marketing, building up your practice. So there's almost anything to do with a coach in their practice, I find they bring. So it could be client issues, quite often is client issues, but sometimes it's, all the rest that goes around being a coach. And like we said before, because it is, what we hear a lot of the time is confidential. Sometimes it's also a need to share things that have been felt disturbing or concerning, that are impacting the coach emotionally, and then they need somewhere to kind of offload or vent or get support and feel less alone. And that's the value for me of supervision, and also group supervision, is the community, the network, and feeling less isolated.
Yeah, yeah, Judith, you go. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and I would add, ethical dilemmas do come up, because as coaches, we are often faced with our own ethical dilemmas. So it could be around conflicts of interest. In organizations, asked me to coach two people, line manager and somebody in their team, and ethical dilemmas could come up. And one that I often find is that comes up, I really wanted to ask this question in the coaching and I didn't, and I wonder what that's about. I wonder why I'm holding back on challenging my client a little bit more, or perhaps being a little bit more directive with my client. So again, just that opportunity to do the exploration of the coach and what's happening for the coach, not just with their client, but within their client's system.
Yeah.
because we can get affected as coaches with what's happening in the system. If the system feels unsafe for the client, the parallel process is a coach feels unsafe when it goes into coach the client. So, it's fascinating.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I just got one or two to add, just very quickly. One would be around this self-awareness part again. Am I adding value as a coach? I get that quite often. Am I good enough as a coach? That comes out quite a lot too. And this is where the supervision, positivity and appreciation comes back from me as a supervisor. So that element of self-doubt that Joe mentioned, that comes up quite frequently. Am I good enough?
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks. And Mike and Joe and Judith, I've heard you, break that word supervision into supervision, and this is how you refer to the way you offer supervision or supervision training to coaches. So, would you like to tell us what supervision is and how is it different from supervision?
I'm going to ask you to excuse me. I'm really sorry. I had a prior engagement
Thanks.
before I knew
Thanks
about
for
this, but
taking out
lovely
time
to be
and
here.
some
Thank
other
you for
time.
the invitation, and you're in great hands. So I'll
See
say
you,
goodbye
Joe.
and
Thank
enjoy the rest
Bye.
of
you.
the session.
Bye.
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 Thanks,
Bye.
Joe.
I think for me, there is something around the connotation of the word supervision and the history of it. And, when we look back on, where supervision has come from, it was very much from the therapeutic background of you give me your case notes and I'll tell you what to do, or I'll tell you what you've done wrong or right. So supervision still, I think, comes with a little bit of a hangover. And Mike and I and Joe often talk, is supervision the right word, but it's a word that's still used in this arena. So the idea that we break it up and take it away from the sense or the connotation that it does still have for some people. I am going to supervise you, therefore I am going to tell you. Um, we hyphenated it. We hyphenated it so that, the emphasis was on, wow, we've got this vision around what we do with this client, or we've got this vision of how we behave or how we are with this client. But you know what? It'd be really helpful if I had some more super insights into this. So what would a super vision be like? And so that's why we did it.
Hmm.
Because we want the coaches to come along with the sense that, together with their supervisor, they create super vision for themselves.
Yeah. I think thanks, Judith. And I think for me as well, it's about the word supervision in different cultures across the world has very different meanings. And as Judith says, supervision can be a much more instructional word, a much more managerial word. And we find in different places it doesn't work. So when you separate it out like super and vision, it has much more meaning to it in different places. And you can also be very creative with it. I like creativity in my supervision work, and there's lots of metaphors you can draw in with super and vision. And particularly in India, we found that our participants on our program who are going through the qualification love it because they can make use of the cultural references around the word vision, and describe it in so many different ways because of that.
Yeah. No,
I would
I
love
think
to,
that's,
sorry.
sorry. Yes, Judith. Yeah.
I was going to say, I like super hyphen vision because in my head, and I don't want anybody to be in my head, but in my head, I kind of think X-ray specs. So, we are so much more inside of ourselves than we are just as the body presents as the skin. So, I haven't gone down too much of this rabbit hole, but I do think of, what would the X-ray specs give us on our coaching?
Yeah. Certainly, I think with just that hyphen, the word has transformed from being a correctional or an instructional word to an inspirational word. Yeah.
Hmm.
you. So we've been, speaking about supervision and what do people bring to the table, etc. But I think, a little taste of what a supervision session really feels like, looks like, would really be good. What do you say?
Yeah. Yeah, we're very, very happy, and Judith and I are very flexible. We can go with the flow, and if someone has a supervision or coaching issue or challenge that they'd like to talk to us about, we can do it now with you.
Sure, thank you. So, I think right now I would invite a few comments from the audience as to how did they experience the supervision demo.
Yeah, and also, what do they think? What do they think about coaching supervision now that we've had an hour
Yes,
together?
yes, please.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please, Smita.
Yeah, so it was, I think, a sort of masterclass in coaching. Similar to Sushma, we have same questions, right? Why is this client not listening? How can I just tell that person what to do? Uh, but the way Judith and Mike were pushing her to think harder. What would she do if she was not neutral? What would she do if she was neutral? And come out of different. Is she serving the client? I think that question was a aha moment for me, and gave me insights of what I should be doing in my coaching sessions. So it was wonderful. And for me, watching Judith and Mike in their stands when they were observing and monitoring gave me it was really like, okay, these are true coaches, just listening, being there, being aware of what's happening, but still being invasive in what she's saying. So I think that was wonderful experience of observing you three all together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we have Robin Mukherjee here. Robin, please go ahead.
Yes, this is a wonderful experience for me. And I'll tell you the fear that I'm sitting with. The fear is, I am really scared of creating a rupture between me and my client.
Mm. Mm.
That's it. And I invite your comments on that.
Robin, that's something we hear sometimes, but it's obviously your very personal view. It's something to bring to supervision.
Yes.
Mm. And just one thing I would like to say is that ruptures can be repaired.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That says a lot.
Mhm.
So, like your heaviness in the chest, my fear just went away because I'm in control of that repair.
Yeah. Because all we can do is stay connected and staying connected even when there's a rupture. We can repair it. We don't have to break it. We just have to notice it.
Yeah. And also, Robin, the rupture is yours. It's not anybody else's.
Wow. Who else? If there's someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any hand raises, but
Oh,
anyway.
okay. Great. Thank you. Yeah. I think personally, I also saw that you empowered Sushma to give herself permission to be not an ICF coach, if it serves the client. So yeah, I think that was a major shift, and of course the animal was an amazing thing. I think that could be, of course, used in a coaching session as well. Fantastic, thank you. So thanks a lot, Mike.
I've seen Anuj. Is it Anuj?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to also acknowledge, I think, a very powerful demonstration of supervision there. Thanks, Mike and Judith. It was amazing to see. What really stood out for me was almost all of the competencies that we talk about in a typical coaching session coming through. You've done the contracting in advance separately. Uh, the holding of presence, the trust that was being built, complete listening. It was very, very powerful. And of course, towards the end, the wow and aha moments that happened for Sushma, that told the sort of, completion, the impact of it. So the question that came to my mind was that um, in supervision, what would be different than, because you asked questions, you asked her to come up with a metaphor, you offered what you're feeling without detachment, without any attachment, you offered that feeling, and you never told her to do anything. And she asked, "Can I do that?" And again, you asked the question that is it serving the client? So I felt that you were absolutely a coach. So the question in my mind is, what does the supervisor do? Of course, it was a masterclass. It was beautiful to see it. But what's the competency or a skill that you're using, which is different from what a coach does?
Yeah, well, for me, it's quite straightforward, really. When it comes to outcomes as a coach and outcomes as a supervisor, it's very different. The supervisor's outcome is with the supervisee.
Mhm.
As a coach, the coach's outcome is with the coach, where you have an objective, your coachee has an objective to achieve, whether it's something you've agreed with your client's organization or with them separately. So you have an outcome that you're measuring against. With supervision, there is no outcome. It's really for the supervisee to decide what that is. So if Sushma went away thinking, well, this wasn't very good, or I didn't feel anything from it, that's fine.
Mhm.
Just to build on that, I think for me is where it's different, and we could have carried on that supervision session because there was so much starting to be revealed. So there is another layer going on around the relationship that Sushma has with the organization, and is that in some way impacting what's happening. So we're really going wider into the system as well, but we had 20 minutes. So the how our eyes are on Shushma, not so much the client. The client is there, and that's what's been brought into the room. But as I would frame it, there is also a lot of ghosts that come into the room as well that are unnamed, that we haven't named yet, that are influencing. ICF is a big influencer that's in the room with us. So again, there's so much that is created in the supervision space that we've got an eye on as Shushma as a coach and practicing what she's doing. And our aim is to help her explore that.
Yeah. And I think I'd also be interested, Anuj, as whether Sushma has the same feelings and approaches with other clients too.
Yeah.
That wider perspective that Judith just says, where else does it show up?
As in the case of coach, would the control of the conversation would still stay with the supervisee, or would you say that as a supervisor, if you notice a few things like the client related question that Judith mentioned, or Mike, what you mentioned, would you say a supervisor has more freedom to, steer the conversation, so to speak, or maybe even throw up
I don't think it's
maybe
so much.
something that's not on it?
Yeah, sorry, no, John, I don't think it's steering. I think what Judith and I do, and Joe as well, would be we pick up what's being said or what we notice. So we have a blank sheet effectively, and Sushma happened to fill up that page for us. And we just noticed things that were going on in those 20 minutes. And I think for us as being authentic supervisors, we need to bring out what we're seeing, noticing, or hearing.
I
We didn't
often
have any.
Yeah, and Mike and I will often say, we get a hint or a whiff of something that's not being said, and and we own that. We own that as our hint and our whiff of something, which may not necessarily be true. But we if it starts to come a little bit stronger, then we give ourselves permission to say it. The chest thing started to just get stronger and stronger. It was not going away. So again, just I have to say this now because it's evidence to me something is happening. I don't know what though. I have no idea what.
No, and I think as Sushma was saying, as a coach, he doesn't find that easy to do.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Anush, for asking a very pertinent question. In fact, that was one of the questions that I was going to ask. And therefore, now that we have got the taste of what supervision feels like, looks like, my question is, who can become a supervisor?
I love that question. I love because we ask this all the time. Could any coach become a supervisor? And I'm not sure we ever have the answer to that. I think it is, well, Mike, you might have an answer, but we ask this all the time, who can become a supervisor? I don't think we've actually got, is it the most experienced coach? I think you have to have a deep understanding of coaching, and a deep sense of contribution to the field in this space. But yeah, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, I think that the curiosity part as well, being very curious about the other person and being at one with them. I find I'm in the shoes of the other person, even online like this.
Yeah.
I think as Judith's right, it's not for everybody. If you're a coach who likes to see something being achieved or outcomes or goals, then supervision may not be for you because we find that in our diploma training sometimes the participants start off saying, well, tell me what to do, tell me what the outcome is, tell me what supervision's all about. And after a time, they become more used to this, living in the fog a little bit and working with ambiguity and creating much more about themselves, this authenticity that we talk about it.
Right. Okay. So it's more about the attitude and orientation towards world and people is what I'm hearing. Yeah. So curiosity, openness, comfort with ambiguity, the whole comfort with not knowing is important. Yeah. And I know that you guys offer coach supervision training. And I'm going to ask a very practical question here. And so, because in India, we always have this disadvantage of the currency, right? And therefore, I know for sure that there are people who now want to take up coach supervision training. And maybe because their organization, offers them that opportunity, or maybe because they are interested. But I've also seen that they're prohibitively expensive. So would you have something to say to that?
Yeah, well, I think so far with our diploma, which we started together in November last year, I think we've actually accredited 10 coach supervisors from India, in different parts of India too. So there is a lot of interest, as you say, emerging. We're very fair with our pricing, I think, Judith, aren't we? We offer bursaries, we offer payment terms, we appreciate where someone's background is, where they live, and we kind of honor that too.
Okay. Thanks.
So
That's encouraging.
There
That's
is,
encouraging.
there is, yes, we do offer something and there is a payment for it. But there's something that Mike and I are really driven about is if somebody has got the calling, let's take price off the table and work backwards from that. So, we know that we are not the most expensive by a long way. But we also know there is some really good supervisors who are in the making that would like to be qualified. And we just want to make it accessible.
Yeah, I think the audience today is the future of supervision. Judith and I are, probably coming near to the end of our time when we won't be doing this too much longer. So we need to leave this legacy behind us, and we need to pass on the baton to other coaches who wish to be supervisors in the right way. And help to shape the coaching community in their part of the world. So that's part of our reasoning too. And we're not a business school or a university. We're three people who've come together from different parts, with a shared interest.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm sure that is quite encouraging for all of us and also people in the audience. So what do you think is the future of coaching supervision? I mean, if I become a supervisor today, or as in a few months down the line, what can I really look forward to? And what can the coaching world look forward to with respect to supervision?
I'll just quickly answer the first bit, Judith, while you're having your thought. For me, I think it's quite tough. It's quite hard work in different parts of the world being a new coach supervisor. I think there's this thing around shaping the market a little bit until people like the ICF or bodies like the ICF say you must have a supervision for your accreditation. I'm not sure that happens yet, but until employers say, as an executive coach coming in to work with our company, what's your supervision relationships? Until that happens everywhere, I think it's a bit of a hard sell. So I think the first part might be quite difficult, but I think once the market opens up, it'll be a beautiful experience as a coach supervisor.
Really interesting for me because EMCC and our accredited body, Apex, will not accredit or reaccredit unless we have supervision. So, that's part and parcel of it. So one of the things I do is accredit coaches, Mike accredit coaches as well. And, we've had conversations with, I don't need supervision. I've got friends that do it for me. And we will say, actually, we cannot accredit you as a master coach because this is the framework that we're dealing with. So when you ask the question, I truly believe that the future for supervision is great. I think ICF will be turning the page on mentoring versus supervision and understand that supervision is a requirement for coaches. So I think that will be a real page turner. And we didn't do this today, but there is such power in group supervision. So, even getting coaches to have group supervision, if one-to-one supervision is, out of their remit, is incredibly powerful.
Yes. In fact, I think Mike, in our prep call, volunteered to offer a group supervision session sometime in January. If any one of our today's audience are
Did you,
willing.
Mike?
I did. Yes, I did. As a way of keeping our relationship going, I think.
That'd be lovely. Honestly, it would be delightful to do that.
Yeah. And we would do that free of charge. I mean, it would be a part of our relationship building. So if you had six volunteers, and then two of us or three of us could do it, we'd have a larger group.
Fantastic. So, just an appeal to the audience, please write to us if you are interested, and then we will see what is a mutually convenient date and time, and we'll organize a group supervision, because that would again be a lovely, very enriching experience to learn from each other and, with the supervisors. So it is about just 8 minutes remaining in this session. Shilpa, do we open it up for questions or, yeah?
Yes, sure. I'm also looking at the chat box, so if anyone wants to put in the question on the chat box, that's fine too. And I'll remove the spotlights if that's okay.
We have Titania interested in group supervision, so that's great.
Yes.
Welcome.
And if you all can come on video as well, we could take a group pic while the others prepare for the question, if there are any.
Shilpa, are we taking those questions that we asked when Mike and Judith were in the breakout room?
Yes, sure. I mean, you can ask now if you're okay.
Oh, yeah. So basically, we were collecting a few questions, and my question was, what is the cost involved when I hire a supervisor for my coaching sessions? So how does that play?
That's a very good question. Yeah, because obviously, if you're an accredited coach supervisor, you need to charge for your work. So, Judith, you always have a good way of looking at that, don't you? How much do you charge?
So again, a bit with coaching, how much should I charge my clients? I always ask any potential supervisee what they charge for their coaching. And then I will arrange a scale fee around that. So it's not it's a bit pseudo maths, but if somebody's charging £100 sterling or dollars, I would say, right, will you pay 70% of one session for a supervision session? So it's kind of a sliding rule, really.
Yeah, I think it's also different if your client, your supervisees are in an organization, if they're internal coaches. So if you have, like PwC or whoever, bringing you in as a supervisor to supervise their internal coaches, you may have a completely different commercial arrangement with them.
And some people have corporate clients who they can charge more for. Some people have charity clients who they don't, get as much for. So for supervision, that's why I have adopted just a sliding scale.
Yeah,
and it's built on trust.
It is. And I think it's also important to charge. I mean, we said we would do things free, but we do it for free because we love doing it, but we don't do it very often for free because we've been through 25, 30 years of training and experience, and we've been through our supervision credentials, we've been through learning programs. So yeah, there's some value to what we offer.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
And there's something here for me just to say is that, if you then go ahead and want to become an accredited supervisor yourself, we want you to know that you can charge for that, because that's really important.
Of course. Yeah.
So there are already be like three people who have raised their hand and said that they're interested in the group supervision session. So
so we got half the group. That's great.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions? We have another few minutes before we can close. Devika, Prachi, Pahar.
I just want to say thanks, Judith and Mike. If you remember, we had spoken, and this was a lovely demo I loved it, and very, like I was telling Jayashri, I'm getting internal coaching from supervision from PwC, but it was great to see y'all supervise, and I just keep thinking supervision is a coach for a coach, which is also required, because sometimes we get stuck and we say, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do, and supervision really helps. And I could see Shushma at that place where she was stuck. And I liked Judith, give that little bit of push because there was silence and both of you all said, I feel something. And Judith noticed that Shushma is not saying it. So she gave her that little nudge. I love that. I think that is something that I wouldn't do, but I think in coaching, I can try that out. Sometimes maybe it's okay to kind of let go of your ICF training and try out some different things. So it was really an enriching experience for me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we do remember you, and we do appreciate the conversation we had with you separately. So thank you.
Yes, I'll get back to you.
Sometime, whenever there's never any rush.
Definitely.
Actually, Devika has already proposed a word of thanks, Shilpa. What do you say?
Yes. On behalf of ICF Pune. Thank you, Devika.
Yes.
No, but thank you,
you.
Jayashri and Shilpa, and thank you, ICF Pune, for organizing this. I think it was a great topic, and I think it's not spoken about much in India as much as it should be. So I think this was a great start, and we should have more, people who can train in supervision in India also. And that's what I told Judith and Mike also when I spoke to them, that we don't really have anything in India, but they said they have people coming to them from India to join their course, which is very encouraging.
Yeah, I think it is at least 10, maybe more, who have qualified. So
I think also after a very long time, we saw a no presentation session. It was really interactive, and the demo was for sure amazing for everyone to experience that.
yeah, well, that was your idea and Jayashri's idea. So that was a great idea to have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to come and share our passion. Thank you so much.
Will you send
Thank
that
you.
to me,
Thank
Shilpa?
you.
Yes, I will. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
That was
Thank
awesome.
you.